celebrating biodiversity. What's the level of biodiversity, maybe in Nigeria and Africa at large? Is it really something worth celebrating, or we have to do more?
Well, when we are talking of biodiversity, it means the totality of lives. We are talking about plants, talking about animals, and we are also talking about even the microorganisms, because all these things, they are beneficial to human beings. And we need to celebrate them. It's just unfortunate that the way man is handling the environment, all these items that I mentioned to you, all these biospheres, they are at risk. The way we are generating pollution today, of course, God gave us the environment, and the truth is about the environment is, it is our cultural heritage. If you look at most of the conflicts that we are facing all over the world today, it's about the environment. Even the issue of COVID-19 is environmentally related, in the sense that even though we have different versions of stories of the emergence of the pandemics, some were saying that well, we have all these animals, the virus coming from pangolin mingled with the virus coming from bats and all those things, and we, at the end of the day, that the virus was created, whether by commission or omission, because that one might be even something about the omission, because you putting all these animals that you don't know anything about, especially when you're talking about the microorganism aspect of it, bringing them together and having interaction and having their genes being modified, that's by omission. It's by omission. Then whether by commission also, because we have another proposition or another aspect of stories in which people were saying that it's a biological weapon that some people try to because even the truth is that the coronavirus is something that has been in existence before, but the one we are having now is another strain. It's another species, or let me call it like that so that people will be able to understand. It's another species that that we created. So whether by commission or by omission, it's still something that man influenced. And we are seeing the aftermath now, in which the whole world got shut down. The presidents, the governors, the politicians, scientists, everyone at loggerhead, running helter-skelter, even the people who are not even scientists, all of them too, they are afraid. Why? Because of the influence of man on the environment. And that is why all these, our biodiversity, we need to keep them, because they are the issue of life. Our trees. Okay. In fact, if I start mentioning what we normally derive from the tree, to every one of us here, we just discovered that ordinary tree.
But we still get to discuss that, because we're looking at the environment in its totality. Now,
maybe I should comment, sir, a little bit on that too.
Right.
That you ask a question: do we have what is worth celebrating in Nigeria? Yes, we do. In Nigeria alone, we have 96 endemic plant species, and up to about 309 species of animals that are endemic, in Nigeria. And when we say endemic, it means that they live, their abode is within Nigeria, within the boundary of Nigeria. If anybody wants to see those species of animals, they have to come to Nigeria. So in terms of word of celebration, yes, we have biodiversity. And that's where the problem is. How are we keeping them?
Yeah, okay.
Yes,
it's even good that you give us some statistics about the animals and plants we have in Nigeria, and I was actually going in that direction. When you look at Nigeria as a country, I can't comfortably say that this diversity in our ecosystem that you just mentioned, the animals, the plants, and all of that, we've been taking advantage of it. What do I mean by that? Even some places where they tell us that we have wildlife and all of that is far behind what we see, even in some other African countries that are making so much money either through research into these animals or through tourism to the sites of, but here in Nigeria, it's more of hunting them down. They make them to the games. What implications are there for us as a people in terms of the contribution of these animals and plants to our society?
Well, well, if you look at, when we say biodiversity, when you look at it, you are talking of the animals, you are talking of plants, you are talking of microorganisms, the fungi, you are talking of the habitats. Variety of habitats where you find them, where they live, okay? And we cannot also close our eyes to our own cultural way of life. You know, people depend on them for survival. And because we depend on those things for survival, we would have to take some of them. You know, we eat them, bushmeat, we use the trees to build our houses, we use the leaf. Almost different parts of biodiversity is used. And then you can't say people should not use. What we are saying is wise use. Yes. What we normally hammer on is what we call wise use or rational use of the environment or of biodiversity. How do you take them? You need to understand the season in which some of the animals you want to take, when they are gravid, that is when they are pregnant. You need to understand that as a hunter, you cannot go into the bush and shoot down the mother and the kids along with whatever you wanted to kill. You need to learn how to recognize animals that are pregnant so that you spare those ones that are pregnant, because if you don't spare them, how do you regenerate? How do they continue in their number? We must be able to enforce number. What number do we take from the resources that we have? Or do we just go there and just harvest as much as possible? You know, if you see the rate of harvest of pangolin from Nigeria, you will be amazed. And we are harvesting them in a way that we will exterminate them soon. So you will see those kind of things going on. Either monkey, of course, as it is this moment, you cannot really say that we really have elephants again in Nigeria, residents in Nigeria. Elephants are migrated majorly away because of our hunting pressure on them. So the hunting pressure is there. So, but we have legislation, we have policies. We need to begin to learn to enforce them. How do we use? Those things are in a policy of how we need to use them, the amount that can be used, when, the season when you can hunt, and so on and so forth, and how you can bring the people, the community, to be part of managing these resources, what we call community-based wildlife management. So all those things are there, but the major problem is how do we work them out to ensure that those things are put in place so that we can still have them to use and generations coming can also still have them to use. So those are some of the major drives that we need to look at.
Let me just quickly chip in this. One of those things that while we do not appreciate even the biodiversity in this nation is that we have let me say, the shallow knowledge of them, especially by the locals. Yeah. For instance, the scorpion. Do we know that the most invaluable, or let me say the most costly liquid today is from the scorpion? But we don't have this knowledge. Yes, no, there are some areas, or let me say there are some countries where they rear scorpions just because of the antidote. They are liquid there. And it's, in fact, when I was surfing the internet some time ago, and I got to know that just 4 liters of a scorpion antidote is over $40 million.
And to get that,
That it's just 4
It's not
liters.
easy.
Meaning that
To get 1 liter,
Because
it's not easy.
But the truth is that most our people here, we don't, because of maybe the lack of education and awareness, we don't really understood the use of all this biodiversity. That's why we just use them without any
kill scorpion.
Kill scorpions, even snake, everything, even water, even the plant. Thank God for this COVID-19 that made these Madagascar herbs to be more popular. And this herb, do you know that is resident also in Nigeria?
Yeah.
We have it in Nigeria. We have it in Nigeria. So with that, because people will lack fundamental knowledge about all this, about diversity, we don't know what to use.
Could that be as a result of perhaps there is no the attention from government making specific structural procedure to tap into all of this that you're talking about? Or is it that as individuals we are the ones that will have to push?
The truth is it's a two-way problem.
Okay.
From the end of the government and the end of the people. Because in a developed nation, when we talk of resource management, we have it's something like a doctor said sometimes ago that it's a community-based issue.
Okay.
The community. There was a time in Kenya, they saw just an antelope, lying down a place, and before you know, the locals, the people, the local residents, they went there. They carried this the antelope and took it to where it's supposed to be, because they know that that resources belongs to everybody. Then, even though the government also normally give them incentives, that like a palliative, you take because you are taking care of this resource. So, in a situation in which that one is lacking in this nation, in fact, even at times when government even has its own project. Will they look at biodiversity before they embark on the project? Before you know, they cut, no matter how valuable that tree is, it will be cut down. If they knew that, this place will be best, is the best site for us to locate the headquarters of this thing, or this is the best place to look. At times, even when I see people, when I say petrol stations within the residential areas, it used to baffle me that who gave these people license, the approval.
Okay, Dr. Gabriel,
yes, sir.
Still on biodiversity.
Okay.
How can we strike a balance, between preservation or conservation of wildlife and also protection of mankind? Because it's a no-brainer. When I see a snake, what comes to mind is to kill the snake, because I have this mindset that the snake is harmful, or even, of course, a scorpion. So how can we strike a balance?
Okay. In fact, I was thinking about that just before you asked that question. Okay. Now, I will start this way. Like I said our cultural way of life, the way we were brought up, has made us to have this kind of behavior or attitude to life generally. Anything moving, the first instinct that we have is to stone it, as long as that thing is smaller than us. You see a lizard, the first instinct that you have inside of you is to stone the lizard. Yet you know that the lizard will not bite you. We see wall gecko. The first instinct that comes to mind is something repulsive, and then you want to just get rid of the wall gecko. In fact, there was a time when people begin to say that wall gecko can pass parasites to you or poison to your food, yes. And then they begin to put the thing on the internet.
Is that not true?
That's not true. That's not true. I had to talk about it, when people were saying it at that time, that it is not true. It's not known that wall gecko, Omonile, it carries any parasite or any bacteria so far, or poison, as far as I know.
So
okay?
You're saying it should not be killed, even if one sees it around.
I don't kill wall gecko in my house, because we need to you remember you use the word symbiosis. We almost live together in a symbiotic manner, in a mutual manner, for the environment to benefit us. Wall gecko that you see also helps to control mosquito in your house if you help them. They eat insects, they eat cockroaches in your house. Peradventure, because of those wall gecko, cockroach. That's why they were not able to blow up. If you exterminate them, you may try to see. For example, I was talking to my student one time. I said there was a time when people have problem in a particular island. The problem they were having was that there is this, they were afraid of a particular snake in that island that they think, oh, it's poisonous, we must get rid of that snake. And so they went ahead to get rid of the snake, okay? And in getting rid of the snake, they did not know that the snake is serving to control rodents in that environment for them. Removing the snake, which is the top predator for the rodents in that island, gave chance for the rodents to blow up in number. They explode, and you know the rate at which rodents they breed. When they have chance to breed, they just breed like that. And they are very devastating. They eat anything. They are omnivorous like us. They eat anything that comes their way. They want to make their nest, they eat this, they come into your house, they eat. So they begin to devastate vegetation in that island. They have to bring back. So, and that is so-called snake that you think is poisonous. So we need to understand the behavior. It's because we do not understand the behavior of quite a number of these animals. That is why we got repulsive. We did not see the aesthetic value in them. The intrinsic value of biodiversity, we need to see it. And it's when we come to understand that we will begin to, oh, so this thing is important. Even those tiny ants, you know, they have intrinsic value for our environment. They play a role. The earthworm has important value to your soil, in soil building, and a lot of microflora in the soil, mesofauna in the soil, helping to build your soil. But we go ahead, we take insecticide, we take herbicide and all that, we pour them on the soil. And then you now say that later the soil fail, your crop fail over time, because the natural inhabitant of that soil that helps to build the soil and give it, you know, nutrients, you have already cleared them off. So we need to understand that, okay? Now to the local people, it's not that they do not know. It's not that they do not know the value. You know, they live with them. They know the value. But we need to understand that they are poor. The issue of poverty is also there. They need to survive. And for them to survive, these are the things they fall back on. So what we could do is that there are policies. Maybe I will say this. There are policies. Government, we have policy. We are part and parcel of the UN Convention on Biodiversity. We are part and parcel of it. Our own strategy, you know, was submitted in 2016, prepared in 2015, submitted in 2016. We have always been part of all these international policies. But the problem is implementation. Implementation failure is what we always have. How do you implement all those policies? How do you bring the state government to start implementing? How do you bring the local government to be part of the implementation? How do you step it down to the people? The things that we are supposed to take, what we are not supposed to take, at what time, and so on. You need to step it down to the people and let them be part of the development of that thing. If you are not part of it, it will fail. And that's a problem we are seeing every time.
All right, okay. Now, Dr. Taiwo, let's look at the issue Dr. Dedeke raised earlier on in terms of using some pesticides and all of that to control weeding and all of that. What implication, to what extent are the implications of this in planting, preparing for planting season, knowing fully well that most of the time, apart from those farmers that have the real equipment for preparation of land, most of these other ones, local ones, are old and all of that. So they look for a quicker way of getting some of these things out. So they apply these chemicals. What implications are there in terms of the planting itself?
Well, pesticides itself is bad. let me just put it simply like that, is bad. And that is why today, people are agitating for organic foods. Because what is there that whatsoever you plant with this pesticide, it has its own health implication. Of course, these pesticides, they are of different categories. We have some, we call them organochlorine. The organochlorine now has been phased out, even though we are still using them illegally in this country to control pests. Then we have the organophosphate, which also is trying to ease off gradually, because then we have carbamate. But the major problem has to do with that organochlorine. Because if you use organochlorine pesticide today, in the next 35 years, come back there, you will still see the residue in the soil. 35 years, come back there. And anything that has free chlorine, it has a tendency of combining with your body system to cause what we call cancer. And if you look at it today, we have a proliferation of cancers. This one, and you see the obituary of this one, and you ask, what really killed this man? People would, the man died of cancer. And in the past, let's say 20 years ago, you don't hear something like that, cancer. It's not as common as what we see today. In our own Why? Because of organochlorine pesticides. And even the so-called carbamate that we are using now, that we are saying that, okay, the organophosphate, the carbamate, because they can easily break down in the environment, that, okay, that one is good. But those ones too, they still have their own side effects. In fact, there's a paper that I wrote. In fact, it has been published about this organochlorine pesticide. Of course, it was a review, not that I went to the field to collect samples and analyze. No, I didn't analyze. What I did was to go to the internet, look at the papers published in Nigeria, in Africa, on organochlorine pesticide in fish. In fact, when I now did what we call health risk, that can this one cause can it cause cancer or any other diseases apart from cancer, I discovered that this nation, we are sitting on the time bomb concerning the organochlorine pesticides.
Are we not doing ourselves a great disservice by not actually giving enough education and enlightenment on this that we are, because I am trying to figure out some of these things you are saying, and when you look around us today, the usage of pesticides are quite common, even
very, very
within
common.
Our private compound. Some people will just see them, they start. When you look at all of this, is it not a disservice? When you look at the implications, the cost of even cancer, some other related diseases, and all of this.
Well, thank God for this program, because this is one of the avenues of communicating to the locals, especially those who are watching us right now, that yes, I've had this thing, then can I change? Because even it's not, like, okay, let me go back to that study. The summary of the study is that 2 out of 100 persons that ate fish, taken from some of our rivers in this nation, have tendencies of developing cancer.
The fish from our water?
Yes, especially all these lagoon, then Lake Chad and all those things. Why? It's because of all these pesticides. At the end, when we have rainfall, these pesticides, they are washed into the water body. Once they are washed there, it will be accumulated inside the fish, inside crayfish, or any aquatic organism. Even the water plants, also, they will have them accumulated.
Yes.
Then, not only that,
this is a serious matter.
some of them, they leach into our groundwater.
Yes.
and we drink them. And something about groundwater is that it's not okay, oh, this is my house, this is where I dig my own well, and the person that is carrying out that problem is about a mile away. It can, we can have an aquifer that can extend from here to that place where that person is using that pesticide. And once it's leached, infiltrated into the ground, then it moves into the aquifer, and from there, it comes to your own compound. And you are doing, you can say, my own is borehole. It's very safe. And at the end of the day, when we just discover that someone that has not developed cancer right from the young age now is now having it. Even though something about cancer is that everybody, we have the cancer cell. It's only that it's dormant. Okay. It's not active. So what it's waiting for is a promoter or initiator, something that will, that whenever it sees that thing, it will just come up. So whenever it sees all this organocloning we are talking about, it comes up. So like that education, this is the only mean by which we can give the education. Or maybe if there is a grant that makes one to go to all this, we call it environmental extension. Whatsoever you find, go to the locals, tell them, please, this thing is problematic. Please don't do this thing. Even though some, because I've seen some, especially some of these farmers, they will tell you that, me, I don't have time. That I have an acre or 2 acres of, of land that I planted a yam. And for me now to be cutting it manually, you know that it's stressful. And at the end of the day, before you know, in fact, there was one that I saw of a recent that I just look at it that, well, God will have mercy. This farmer, used pesticides to eradicate the insects trying to infect the plant that he planted. And a week after, I saw some locals, that farm again, trying to pluck some things there. Of course, because of rain, there might have been a dilution. But if you look at even what the atmospheric condition is doing right now, which is one of the challenges of the world right now, has to do with climate change. We discovered that even rain too is not coming forth as it's supposed to be.
Yes.
In the past, May and June used to be 2 peaker modes of rainfall.
Heavy rains, yes.
But now, look at May. In fact, I can count the numbers of time we have rain in in May. So all these things, they are problems that they are just accumulating. And until even the government, maybe there is a program that can be aired just like this in different dialects. This is not just about language now, even dialects. Yeah. Someone who is conversant in Egba, bring him, because from the experience, people used to understand someone who speaks their own language. When you speak someone's language, you know that, let me listen. Then bring someone from who understood the Ijebu. The person tell them in Ijebu that this thing you are doing is not good. Someone who, what other people do we have in Ogun State now? Yewa.
Including Egu.
Good, Egu. Bring, let people, let the program, maybe weekly program, that it can be communicated to them. Just based on, you can be inviting people based on their findings. In fact, in the developed nation, they have a body. What the body normally do is that what they will be going to the universities, looking at their findings, and transform their findings into a usable something that can benefit the populace. But the truth is that we don't have that here. Even as a lecturer, whenever you publish a work,
so it's still
it's for your
institutional challenge.
Okay,
that's just it.
I can come in a little bit in that. From what he has said, it's not easy for the farmers to accept what you are saying. About the issue of pesticides, herbicides, and all those things. But whether they accept it or not, the fact is there that those things are deleterious to our health. Quite a number of them also know. Okay? But the question they will pose to you is, what do you want us to use? So, and I think that is where the government, the scientific community, that's where we come in. There have to be a step-up research on alternatives to those things. You know, the farmer will go for those things because they are fast-acting. You apply a pesticide maybe within 2-3 days, you have started seeing the effect, okay? But if you use organic pesticide, it may not be that fast-acting, but it will still act, and it will still work. So we need to do more research. The problem we have is that we are not putting money into research. We want things that will work quick. Things that has already been made, pre-made. All we want to do is take our money, go and buy it, and use it, without finding out how was this thing made. So we need to come to that level where we begin to put money into such kind of serious research that affects the life of people. So there are a lot of organic pesticides that can be developed from plants themselves. Okay, for example, in my house, I have soursop tree, about 2 of them. And they begin to fruit. You know, recently this year, their fruiting season this year normally coincides with rainy season. And then suddenly I begin to see my soursop being damaged. You know, I will see ants on it. Wasps also will come and eat. In fact, wasps are doing a lot of damage to it because they have this jaw that can bite deeper in. And when they begin to do that, you begin to see flies also coming in. So a lot of damage happen with the fruit. So I begin to find out, what can we use? And I discovered that we can use pawpaw leaf. You take pawpaw leaf, you know, take some leaf of pawpaw, soak in water. You can soak overnight, you know, given to me by a friend, Dr. Akilese. I'm mentioning his name now. So you soak overnight, and then strain it afterwards, and then take the water, put it in your spray can, and then spray on the fruit or on your vegetable to be able to act as, you know, to prevent. In this case, it may not kill those insects, but it will repel them. Yeah. So it serves as a repellent.
So they won't at least.
They will come there, they will move away. They won't be able to bite into that thing. And that is as protected. After all, what we wanted to do is to prevent them from eating up those things, from destroying it. So you can develop a lot of those things. Dogoyaro, Azadirachta, indica, yeah. Neem tree. The popular dogoyaro is also very effective. Of course, we know that it has a lot of quinine inside, and that makes it bitter. You can also try Vannonia, Ewuro, Vannonia amygdalina. You can try that as well. Things that have that high amount of quinine will repel, you know, will have some repellent in them. And some other things that they have, like tannin, the alkaloids and all that, can serve as repellent. So we can develop all those things. Funding needs to come into that. People from outside, companies need to also be involved in that, so that we can then give alternative to the people. When you are saying don't use this, we must be able to use this instead.
Okay.
Because if you say don't use this, and you did not give,
there's no alternative.
You didn't give me what else to use. Then the question will be, okay, if you stop me from using this,
Should I fold my hands?
Should I fold my hand? Should my family go hungry? Should my business collapse? So that's where we are talking. You know, you're asking about balance. Yes. That's where the balance must come into it. You know, the problem is there. We cannot lie to you. We have a problem in our hand. You know, degradation of our environment is high, seriously. And the thing that I was talking about, any kind of herbicide, even glyphosate-based herbicides, you know, we're using that. Currently in US, there is a trouble on the issue of glyphosate-based herbicide between Monsanto, Bayer, you know, and people that claim that herbicide actually was causing cancer. Whereas glyphosate-based herbicide was supposed to even be better than every other ones
other
that we are talking about. We have also done some research on it, and we have seen that it has effect, you know, on organisms.
Okay.
So those are some of the things.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, Dr. Saiwo,
Yes, sir.
I know that plastic pollution is another problem entirely, and we all contribute, you know, to that. Because according to recently, it takes up to 400, 1,000 years for plastic, you know, to decompose.
To degrade, yes.
And of course, it's affecting the biodiversity we've been talking about. But what alternative, you know, do we have? If we don't want to use plastic, maybe for plastic bags and the likes, because of the, you know, harm, you know, it's causing. Do we have any alternative, or we also have studies, you know, researches going on, so as to, you know, just to have, mitigate, you know, the use of plastic?
Yeah, the issue of plastic pollution, in fact, the peak came in 2018, and just the World Environment Day of or let me say the World Environment Day of that year was focused on plastic pollution. Yeah. Because they discovered that if we should continue with this trend in which we have go to our seas, our oceans, they are filled with plastic, that even some you know, big aquatic organisms like whales have died. Some of them, by the time they look at their belly, they discover thousands of plastic materials. No, that they have swallowed. Then the terrestrial animals also. So with that, they came up with that what should be the solution now. We have the problem. The problem is there. But what's the solution? And one of the major things that we need to do is, number one, find the alternative of maybe replacing the plastic materials with maybe paper materials. Like all these plastic polythene bags, you can use a paper bag. In fact, in some countries, they have banned the use of plastic bags.
Nylon bags.
For all this nylon bag for you to package something. No, they have banned it. Then, but the problem, even when we have the alternative, what of the issue on the ground? The problem that because this plastic, there are still many, about, you know, in tons in our environment. Even there are some that we don't talk about. We call them microplastics.
Microplastics.
That one, you may not even see that one. But those ones, what they do is, number one, they go into the soil, in which they wait for plants to absorb them, and we take them in. In fact, there was a research that I think was conducted by, or was sponsored by BBC, I think 2 or 3 years ago. The bottled water that we think, oh, this, no, it has the highest level of purity. I'm telling you that they discovered some concentrations of microplastic inside the bottled water. Yes, bottled water that is ready for consumption.
In the water.
Yes.
Another source of cancer.
And it's another source of cancer.
Oh,
so what we can do is, number one, to first let us clean up the ones that are on the ground. Let's clean them up. So by the time we clean them up, we can use maybe recycling. Peak, government can encourage. In fact, I saw a clip sometimes ago, I think last week, a lady in the northern part of Nigeria trying to collect all these plastics, give people some little incentives.
The Recycler Group in Lagos.
Okay.
We're also working on that.
So give them incentives, so bring those plastic materials, because the plastic materials even include our sachet water, the nylon from our sachet water, bring them together. Then trying to recycle them, or trying to reuse all those things, or trying to melt them with a high temperature fire, then, and use them to build or to cast interlocks that can be used even on our road, or make blocks, all these little blocks that they can use for construction. The only problem I had with that initiative has to do with when you are trying to solve a problem and you are creating another problem, because during the course of melting, air pollution. And plastic is one of those substances that do generate, when you burn it, it do generate what we call dioxin. And dioxin is the most toxic compound or substance on the face of the earth, and it comes from burning of plastic.
And we have quite a number of places where they do that regularly.
So, with that, by doing that, you are creating another problem.
Where you dump a lot of those things.
Very close to the Lagos, Abeokuta Lagos Road. Before you get to the industrial area in Otadea.
Okay.
See, just by the road there, it's huge tons of nylon particularly. And every day, there's no day you pass there that you won't. Anyway, but the Dr. Dideke, do we actually have legislation that could really protect our environment? And if we don't have, what will you as an expert suggest to government? Because when you look at it generally, it's already becoming, it's already a global problem. We have climate change. Some people are talking about greenhouse solution and all of that. Are all this not as a result of now having proper legislation?
I don't really. We have. We must, be factual about things like this. We have. Nigeria has always have policies, legislatures, existing. Okay. Right from years back, not even recently, which has been reviewed. When it comes to the issue of biodiversity, we have a decree 58 about biodiversity of I think 1985-88, which was reviewed 1999, and then again I think 2006. So and it was part of those things that was packaged, worked upon, that we have the national biodiversity strategy that was sent to the UN CBD. So in terms of policy, we have policy, regulations and all that. We have all those things that cut across different spheres. And we are housed Federal Ministry of Environment. Of course, every other federal ministries are involved. Ministry of Health, Ministry of Works, because there are different aspects that these different ministries, they play, the role that they will play in it. And then NGOs also have a role to play, and like NCF, for example, Nigerian Conservation Foundation. So we have policy, but like I said, the problem is implementation of our policy and funding.
I will have to come in at that.
Yes, sir.
I have to come in. Implementation and funding. This a topic or a discussion that we can't finish at once.
Yes.
Our time is actually up. But I'll still take I'll take Dr. Taiwo's last words on this program before we go, talking about World Environment Day. What's your message as an expert in that field?
Well, my message is that, we have environmental challenges in this country, ranging from pollution of different kinds, whether water, soil, the pollution of the air, and everything like that. But we should change our attitude, by contributing to our own quota, so that we don't add
attitude
to the
change.
Attitude
that is what I'm taking.
Yes, so that we don't add to the existing problem.
Okay, Doctor, quickly, your message.
My message is that the environment, biodiversity, has a great role for the survival of humankind. And whatever you give into it is what it will give back to you. Like we used to say in computer, garbage in, garbage out.
All right.
Well, we must say a very big thank you, Dr. Adewale Taiwo and Dr. Gabriel Dideke. And to our viewers, many thanks to you for also watching. We have to go now. This is where we draw the curtain on today's program. Do not forget, stay safe, stay healthy. Do have a lovely weekend. Bye for now.